We are here live, 7:41 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, September the 1st, 2020. So I got Big J here on the phone, and what we're going to do is we're going to start the video off with a bang. And this, what you're about to listen to, is from Sporting News Australia. And these blokes, go give them a subscribe, follow, like on their Twitter and everything, because we're going to listen to about 1 minute or so of their content, and it's very important. So, Big J, you there?
Yeah, right.
So, first, you have to give an explanation to the American fans, like, who is Jeff Finnick, who we're about to listen to.
Well, Jeff Finnick is arguably the most successful boxer Australia's ever had. He was a three-time, three-division undefeated champion. He won the IBF Bantamweight, the WBC Super Bantam, and the WBC Featherweight titles back in the mid to late 80s. Retired, came back. Anyone who knows boxing from the last 30 years know that he was part of still to one of this day, one of the biggest robberies in boxing history when he went up against Zuma Nelson. I think it was in 1991 for the WBC Super Featherweight title, which was a undercard to, I think, Tyson Ruddock. It was back in 91. The fight was declared a draw where Jeff won 10 rounds to 2. Jeff, arguably is the most successful boxer we've ever had in Australian boxing history, trained by the great Johnny Lewis. He's a trainer himself. He's training Brock Jarvis at the moment, who's a great up-and-comer. He's trained Danny Green. He's trained Billy Gibb. He also trained Mike Tyson at the end of his career. Pretty much, Jeff Finnick is boxing royalty in this country. So, and pretty much, he's always been strongly opinionated about things. He'll if someone needs criticism, he'll do it. It's very, very important what Jeff says, because I think he makes a lot of good points here. So there's a lot of questions that need to be raised.
All right, well, let's listen in. Let's listen in.
Thanks for joining us only a few, 24 hours after one of the biggest nights in Australian boxing. Mate, you were commentating it. There's been a lot of chat about Glenn Rushton
and not calling a fight, everything that happened at the end. What was your take on it?
For me, it was pretty sad. It was quite obvious that Jeff didn't really want to fight. I mean, he just had a really, really bad day at the office. And to be asked the question when you're sitting in the corner, do you want to fight? That's not Jeff's job. That's my job, just to stop the fight and look after Jeff. And what do people think today? Oh, Jeff Horn wanted to stop. No, Jeff didn't want to stop. It was Glenn Rushton's job, if he knew his job, which it's quite obvious he doesn't. My job as a trainer is to train Mike Tyson. I stopped the fight. Mike Tyson wanted to fight. I stopped the fight. I take the blame. It falls with me. And Glenn Rushton put Jeff Horn in a terrible position last night. And I think it's time that we look how we give out our license for people to train people. If that's the kind of person that's going to be in the corner of fighters in Australia, we're not in a good position. It's very, very dangerous.
So before we listen to the next part, I mean, that's some powerful statements right there. Big J, you listening?
Absolutely. I've watched that 3 or 4 times myself. And Jeff has been very vocal about Glenn Rushton's training. There's been a lot of people that have been saying, especially when the Crawford fight happened, there was a lot of, a little bit of speculation or buzz that maybe Jeff should leave Glenn Rushton, go for another trainer, because he was clearly being completely outboxed in the Crawford fight and taking unnecessary punishment, where Glenn thought he could turn it around in 1 round, similar to the Pacquiao fight, but he was winning the Pacquiao fight. He was, by the time of round 9, he was up 5 rounds to 3-1 draw. So he was winning the Pacquiao fight. He needed to win 1 more round to claim the fight. So 2 completely different situations.
So is that the climate over there? Is Glenn Rushton under some heat from the media, and boxing fans?
Oh, I think so. I think a lot of people have been people have thinking to themselves, well, what's going on there? And I don't think anyone's actually directly, from what the media that I've seen, people haven't directly been attacking him, calling him for his license to be revoked or anything
Fenech
like that.
just did.
Fenech just did, but Fenech just did. But he's been doing that since the Crawford fight. So there's no other people that I've directly heard about it saying it. But there hasn't really been that much media about Jeff in the last week or so. I mean, there was a media scrum on I think Monday. I think it was Thursday morning after the fight. That's all about what we've heard from the Horn camp. There's nothing else. There's nothing else really going on, but I haven't heard anything. So most of the press about over here has been all about Tszyu. I mean, there was a publication, I think, where one of the Horn's trainers said that he was gassed by round 2. That was pretty obvious. Jeff was gassed by round 2. But that's about it. But no real heat on Glenn Rushton. But there's certainly some questions raised. I think the main focus. I mean, no one's really spoken to Jeff. I mean, I think he did maybe a media scrum on Thursday and went home, and no one's heard. He's been sitting at home ever since, which is fine. But that's really about it. I mean, it's all been about Tszyu. So
yeah, and
very
moving on.
Very little attention on Jeff.
Yeah, and moving on to the next subject. What's the climate for Tszyu? Like, has his profile risen over there? Are they planning like some type of like media something or whatever? Or when is he planning on being back? Like, what's the news for him now that I know over here in the States, which we'll get to next, his profile has risen significantly.
Yeah, there hasn't been any media or anything about Tszyu. I think he did exactly what he said he did. He took a couple of days off and he went back into the gym. So that's basically what's happening about him. I don't know if they're going to have a media thing, and probably his team doesn't want him to have it. So it's probably just business as usual with Tszyu. I haven't had a chance to contact anyone about that. I mean, it's very hard for me to actually get in contact with these guys because they're all based in Brisbane and Sydney, and I'm stuck in Victoria where we're all locked down. We can't go anywhere. So
Got you.
Unless we're actually picking up the phone and talking to people, it's pretty hard to it's pretty hard to find out what's going on unless you're directly talking to somebody. So, but I mean, I think the dust has settled on the Horn-Tszyu fight, and until the next big thing happens in Australian boxing, everything's going back to normal. There's a lot of local promotions and Australian titles are on the line. I think there's an event coming up in the next week or so where 2 Australian titles are going to be on the line. I think that event's going to be up in Queensland. I'll have to check my facts on that one. But bar that, not really much into regards of Tszyu, what his next move is or anything like that. I mean, I saw the other day on Fox Sports that Paul Upham said that he should go after Patrick Trixeria, the WBO champ. But
I got the rankings pulled up.
Yeah.
So let me jump in a little bit here. So if you don't know, right now Tszyu is ranked by all the major sanctioned bodies, the WBC, the WBA, IBF, and the WBO. He's actually 11th in the WBA. Basically, he wasn't there last month. So we're looking at the boxing scene rankings. They're not updated yet because the rankings just came out yesterday. So he's ranked by the WBA. He's ranked by all major sanctioned bodies right now. And what I've been noticing, especially on social media, now Tszyu's name is being mentioned with the likes of Jamel and Charlo and Jason Rosario. And in fact, in about 6 hours after this video, there is a Zoom call for a virtual press conference for Jamel Charlo versus Jason Rosario. So I'm going to do my best to try to get a question in on if one of them would be interested. Like, you got to ask, like, I know you're not looking past such and such, but if the time came, would you travel over to Australia if they allowed you to come over and you can have a crowd? Because on social media, the way they're talking, it's like, Tszyu can beat Kell Brook. Tszyu can probably beat Tony Harrison. Like, I guess we're going to say it's the bandwagon. That's your right, to think what you want, and that's free speech, all that. Now, do I think he's ready for it? It's like, hold up. But I'm gonna let you jump in there, Jay.
Yeah, I mean, to all those.
It's a little premature.
Yeah, calm down, and let's see how fast you guys jump off it when he loses. So, I mean, there's been no. As I said, once again, it's hard for me to, find out what's going on because, where I am and we're in lockdown. But, all those bandwagons all those bandwagon jumpers over in the States, it's like, well, calm down. He's only beaten Jeff Horn. He hasn't,
Yeah.
He's got a few fights to go yet before he's possibly even going to get a world title shot. And as I said, the impressive performance. I liked what I saw from Tszyu, but there's a lot of reports going around that Jeff wasn't right, and it was bloody obvious he wasn't right. So let's just all calm down and let's see what he does next. And because Mick Zarafa's making noise to fight him.
Yeah.
I'm not sold on Tszyu yet. I mean, he's obviously he's a phenomenal boxer, but he's got to that next step now. There's another few steps yet. So let's see what happens.
For example, I'm looking at names that I've covered before. Guys like Ted Cheeseman, Jack Couquet, James Metcalf, Jesse Vargas, even Liam Smith, like Carlos Adames. If he were to fight guys like that, like Nets, or maybe a fight or two from now, then, I'm like, okay, all right, there's some nice progression. I see, and then I can start batching him with guys like Julian Williams, J-Rock Hurd, Tony Harrison, and then I'll be like, okay, Tszyu was like the real deal, but right now I'm not sold. I mean, I liked his poise. I like, he's a tech, he's in the Horn fight, even though Horn was all over the place and it looked like Horn wasn't right. Like, I liked how poised and, technical he was,
Oh, absolutely.
Tszyu, that has to be respected. That has to be respected.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he is a phenomenal boxer. He's a real boxer.
Professional.
What happens when he professional? What happens when he comes up against like a fighter and a puncher? Because Tim has yet to prove that he can take a shot. Because the only time that he got clipped, he went down and Wade Ryan clipped him. So
yeah.
His defense is excellent. He doesn't really get hit. I mean, Jeff barely touched him in that fight.
But what happens when he does get hit? And we saw how easy he went down to get against Wade Ryan, even though he was young, but still,
Yeah, that's still exactly. I mean, how much? It's like it's not how as Balboa said in one of his, as Stallone said in one of his riffs. It's not how much you can hit; it's how much you can get if you keep going. And he gets to prove that he can take a shot. So I mean, his defense is fantastic. He doesn't get hit, but what happens when he does?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's like I'm not sold on Tszyu yet, but we're going to keep a fair eye. And let's be honest, he hasn't fought anyone out of Australia yet. He still hasn't even covered the domestic.
So what's the deal with him versus Mick Zarafa? Now, we've talked about it that for a guy like Tszyu, it would be high risk, low reward because Zarafa doesn't have a belt and possibly could beat Tszyu because, as you said, if somebody would crack him, it would be Mick Zarafa. For the viewers, if you don't know who Mick Zarafa is, the Americans, he fought Peter Quillen. Unfortunately for him, he was knocked out early.
Round number five.
But his career and his skill set has advanced. It's one of them type of things that when you if a certain fighter lose, he get better. He took Kell Brook to hell and back. And then, of course, what happened with both of the Horn fights, even though Jeff won the second fight, Jeff still got beat up both fights. So he's a problem. He's a problem.
Yeah, he is a problem, and he hits pretty hard. I mean, you have to hit someone pretty. When you have the power to knock down Jeff Horn, and we all know how much Jeff Horn can take a shot.
Yeah.
That's a powerful punch. And Jeff Horn is no pushover. And I mean, as we said, if we compare Zarafa to Tszyu, Zarafa knocked him down in the second round. Tim knocked him down in the third. It was more like a push and a shove and a hit him on the way down, and then he took a knee. Couldn't definitively knock him on his backside when Mick did more than once. So,
one issue though is that looking at the box rec, Zerafa hasn't been the 154 since December of 2018. So by the time they do step in the ring, it'll be 2 years since he was back. He was at that weight. That should be brought up.
Yeah, he told me when I talked to him that he walks around at 75 anyway. So that's his walk around weight. So he always keeps very close that he can.
That he can drop the 154. I got you.
Yeah. He said to me, he goes, I always keep around 75 kilos. I was like, okay, well, fair enough. Yep. So he showed that he's going to double between.
So, but right now, it's going to be one of them things that if Tszyu, it looks like he may have to fight Mick Zerafa. He may not be able to get up to domestic level until he does.
Possibly. I mean, all this COVID thing about let's just calm down about all this COVID thing. Remember the Maloney boys went to Vegas to fights.
True.
So to say that people can't talk about fighters going international is untrue. They just have to apply for a special visa and do the quarantine.
Yeah.
Australian cricket team's just packed up and gone overseas to England. I mean, there are ways. If they really want it to happen, they'll make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's as simple as that. And as I was talking to you before, I mean, Jason Maloney might get his title shot against Naye on the 31st of October in Vegas, which, geez, that's not very far away. It's like 2 months. So, boxers travelling overseas, Tszyu's got more chance of going overseas and fighting international opponents than he has bringing someone over here.
Yeah, very true. And as we talked about, I'm sure that people are looking, like other promoters and managers, like, let's see what we can do to get him over here.
Well, exactly. I mean, they keep on saying Patrick Tszyu. Patrick Tszyu signed
to fight Castaño.
For a fight.
Mm-hmm.
And B, isn't Brazil a hotspot for COVID? There's no way.
My understanding.
Heading into this country.
Yeah.
If COVID is a hotspot, if Brazil is a COVID hotspot, he ain't getting into this country.
Yeah.
They wouldn't let New Zealand.
That's one of the reasons why the fight with Teixeira and Castaño not happening. Like, it has to do with COVID. I don't think he can get out.
Yeah, well, I mean, Argentina and Brazil, don't they share a border or something? My South American knowledge.
No, Argentina is like, wow, we ain't nowhere near Argentina. Like, don't get me.
Castaño is in Argentina, isn't that where
I think so, yeah. I'm looking him up now. He is Argentine. I'm pretty sure.
I mean, another great Brazil v Argentina rivalry, not just in the soccer field, but boxing.
Yeah.
I mean, don't those countries share a border? I mean, sure, that's all done now.
Don't get me started. Way too early for that. Me doing geography.
I'm not quite sure about my geographical knowledge of South America, and I apologise, but I'm pretty sure they share a border. If they're not, they're very close. Yeah, I mean, they're in the same continent. Sure, they can figure something out. But yeah, Patrick Tszyu coming here. Don't see it happening unless there's stringent testing and he does his 2-week quarantine and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, I don't see him fighting that Patrick Tszyu anytime soon.
Yeah.
But what about that fella on the weekend that just won the WBO or the IBO title?
That is Iris Landy Lara, and one thing about Iris Landy Lara is I'm pretty sure that Iris Landy Lara is likely going to fight the winner of Rosario Charlo. If it's not a unification, he's probably going to drop that world title. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
that's very likely to happen.
Yeah. So I mean, as I said, Tszyu getting a world title fight ain't happening anytime soon. Certainly not in the next 6 months.
No, it would be like looking at it realistically. He's looking like before he's in a mandatory spot, because you could be ordered mandatory, but you got to negotiate the fight, so that may take 6 months. So looking at it realistically, like, it all depends on if Rosario, what he's going to do, what Lara's going to do. It may be like 2 years, like right at the end of like 2 years, like close to that, like when he'll have his title shot, like probably be in the ring. So he's going to have to probably have maybe 3, anywhere to for like 3, depending on how active he is. Like if he does 3 fights a year, he can have 5 fights before he gets his title shot.
No, exactly. And Tim likes to keep active. I mean, last year he had four fights. I believe he had 4 fights. He had 1 in February, and then the 3 main event one. I think February, May, August, December. I
Yeah.
think it was last.
Well, his management team, nigga, I'm interested to see what his management team is going to do, because usually coming off of a big win like that, they're probably going to have Tszyu fighting his home, you know, and he's going to be the full headliner, you know, and they're going to try to find somebody in the lower top 15, not as up there as Jeff Horn. I'm trying to figure out what name though, because that's what you do now that he's ranked. You got to fight somebody who's ranked. It's like your coming home fight, you know.
Well, the problem is that there's no ranked Australian contenders at 154.
True.
Not the top 15.
So they got to get somebody. Yeah, that's what's going to. Yeah, that's the issue. Yeah.
Like I said, the only real two fights you can fight is the Rapper or Hogan, and both of those.
Like it's this guy. His name is Takashi Inoue. He's not related to him Inoue. He's not related to him, but he is at 154. I covered him before. Like he's ranked number 14. Like, and that's Japanese. So if we can get him over there, that would be a nice fight. A guy like a Carlos Ocampo, who got knocked out by Errol Spence in one round, who's now ranked number 13 by the WBO. That's what they need to do. Get like a lower, but like a name who's been in there with somebody, like that type, you know, start building him from there. And then a fight maybe two before his title shot, you know, fight somebody with another significant name. So when he goes into the negotiations for the title shot, he can say, well, I fought this person is this person, you know?
Yeah, I mean, with Tim's popularity at the moment, he can easily sell out, you know. I mean, he's already sold out. He had 3 pay-per-views last year and they were all sellouts.
Mm-hmm.
So Tim Tszyu could easily get, you know, on the popularity of the last fight, he could easily, you know, if they wanted to fight up again in Townsville in Queensland, they could get another.
Yeah, they just got to keep the momentum going. They got to keep the momentum going.
Keep the momentum going. Yeah, I mean, he could, you know, certainly there's not going to be any big fights in Victoria anytime soon.
Yeah.
We're coming in the first day of spring in Australia, and we're coming to the end of these restrictions. I think in 2 weeks or something, the restrictions are going to be lowered, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
But he's a Sydney boy, so if he's going to fight anywhere, he'll fight in Sydney. As I said, they've got to keep the momentum going because, you know, the casual fans get pretty quick what happens. Like the serious fans don't. But the casual fan, the ones that you rely on to make the money, they'll forget about it in a week. So if they haven't already. So they've got to keep the momentum. They've got to keep the momentum rolling. Absolutely.
So since the video's running long, what's some quick hits? Australia news. Boxing news.
Australia, as I said, Jason Maloney is probably going to get his title shot against Inoue in the 31st of
October.
That's really about it on the world stage. As I said, there's a few domestic fights coming up, which I'm glad that the domestic fights are going back in full swing. Brock Jarvis could have another fight up against Mark, I think Shilib, I think his name is. Let me just look that up. Possibly, I think the Australian bantamweight title holder wants to fight Brock Jarvis. Brock Jarvis is a world-ranked super bantamweight. I think they're going to fight at featherweight. Brock Jarvis, as I said at the start of the video, is one of Jeff Finnick's fighters. So we'll keep an eye on that to see what happens there. Both guys are undefeated. I think Mark, I can't pronounce his last name, Shilib, I think his last name is. Sorry, mate, I mispronounced his last name. He's 12-0, Brock's 17-0, so should be a good fight. Justin Frost has got a fight coming up, I think, shortly. I think he's the Australian super lightweight champion. Now, let me just bring it up. Let me just quickly touch on.
You're talking about IBO, right?
Coming up. No. These are Australian champions.
Oh, sure. Okay, got you.
Yeah. Justin Frost is the Australian super lightweight champion. He's fighting Waylon Law on the 5th of September, and that is going to be, it's going to be in Brisbane. So, and also Tyson Best, that's Tysinn against Ben Kite for the Australian welterweight title. So a couple of Australian titles there on the line. That's going to be Ace Boxing Promotion there up in Brisbane on September the 5th. So shout out to those guys. We'll see how that goes.
Mm-hmm.
But that's about it. But on the international stage, nothing really. And I haven't heard anything about Jeff Horner. Hopefully he just realises enough and calls it a day and retires.
Yeah, so what we'll do, when the Maloney and Inoue and Maloney fight get announced, we're just going and do our coverage like we did this, you know, get on that. So of course I'm going to be, you know, I'm going to have all the Jason Maloney, all the stuff, the media stuff. So we're going to have the Zoom calls, all of that, the press conference, weigh in. So yes, we're going to be providing full coverage for that fight as well, Australian and American boxing fans. So as soon as that get announced, like they're going to send all the stuff out, we're going to know, like, you know, when the media conference and the conference calls, all that.
Yeah, good. So it's going to be quick if it's October 31st. That's less than 2 months.
Yeah, so which means they're probably going to announce it probably like this week or next week sometime. Likely next week, because they like to announce. Well, Top Rank has a fight this weekend, Jamel Herring. They're probably going to announce it then. So it's probably going to be, I'll forward you all the stuff when it does get announced. But, bro, I got to get some sleep, and I'm glad to be back in the boxing groove. So, you know, we already at about 26 minutes, and I'm guessing, you know, we'll be back with some Maloney and Inoue content. And TstreeT Controversy with Fight for You 360 is Big J. Please subscribe.